What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we got to be talking about an election that's going to be going on later this year. That's the recall election of the current governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Pretty wild. If you were to tell me a year ago that he would be getting recalled as a governor, I'd say, yeah, you're probably crazy. Everyone, puts him on a pedestal. They view too highly of him. But turns out, when you lock down your state and you say nobody can leave or nobody can go out, but you do those things, well, chances are people get pretty pissed at you, even if you're a Democrat. But moving on, so that election's going to be going on, I believe in November. I was kind of reading into it. They haven't, made like an official date, but it is going to be happening. They did pass the amount of signatures needed on the petition. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if he gets recalled, somebody else steps in. Now, in crazier news, because 2021 is just one crazy news story after another, the one person that's going to try and step up and run against him, unseat Gavin Newsom, is Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner, remember, had a, his, her, whatever you want to, refer to the pronouns as. I already said in one of my other videos, in terms of the LGBTQ movement, I know it's like a different letter in the alphabet every single time you hear about it, but specifically the transgender movement, I really don't care. It doesn't affect me. I say do your thing. If you're not infringing on my rights, I really don't care. But if you're someone that's gonna, say, oh, if you don't use my pronouns, you you literally don't, see me as an equal and stuff. Like, if you're all into that, just keep stepping. That's crazy talk. But anyway, Caitlyn Jenner steps up and announces that she's gonna run to unseat Gavin Newsom. So what I would just want to say is, again, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know, right? You never know. You can't say for definite that she'll lose because, well, so many people said that about Donald Trump in 2016, and yet here we are. He took down one of the most infamous, really probably political figures that will never be president, obviously Hillary Clinton. Probably still burns, depending on who's watching this. But moving on, the purpose of this video is to talk about identity politics. And you might say, well, how are we roping that in, right? What does that have to do with Gavin Newsom, Caitlyn Jenner? Well, obviously Caitlyn Jenner is transgender. I would argue probably one of the most infamous transgender people. And, well, she was already talking about, I guess, one of the issues probably a couple days ago at the time of, you're going to see this a little bit later on. So maybe like 3-4 days ago, the time you see this actual video. And it was in regards to biological boys competing in women's sports. That's actually a pretty big topic in 2021. A few states already kind of banned that, and some states are weighing in, to see what they're going to do. So Caitlyn Jenner, of all people, said, I don't agree with having biological men competing in women's sports. That's pretty shocking coming from someone like Caitlyn Jenner. And the reason why we're talking about identity politics is some of the people who were Caitlyn Jenner's biggest supporters when, she transitioned from Bruce to Caitlyn, they're now against her. So, for example, I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up on the screen, but the guy, his name is George Takei. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the infamous dude from Star Trek, and he's a gay guy. Yeah, whatever, cool. Tell me something that's actually interesting about you is what I would say. But he, someone was showing his tweets. So from 2015, 2016, whenever Caitlyn Jenner came out as transgender, he was saying things like, welcome to, what did he say exactly? Not welcome to the club, but something alluding to, welcome to the LGBTQ movement. You're so brave, this and that. Something when Caitlyn, I think, was it the year she won the Woman of the Year award or something like that? I know it's crazy, but, he's sending tweets like, so brave, so heroic, rah, 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 all that. But just the other day when Caitlyn Jenner came out and said, yeah, I oppose biological men in women's sports, immediately gone. He, of all people, was like, wow, you are, I bet the next thing you're going to say is that America isn't a transphobic country. And then sent another tweet and said, Caitlyn Jenner is nothing but a menace, only about herself, no friend to the LGBTQ movement, and all the rest of that. And I'm sure you can find other blue check mark people that said the same thing. I've seen a couple articles basically saying the same thing. So identity politics, where does this come into play? Well, identity politics is people not being able to see past, whatever, their sexuality is, maybe their race, where they come from, really any category. You can kind of rope it down into identity politics, but they're not able to see themselves outside of that movement. So obviously, Caitlyn Jenner would be a part of the LGBTQ movement. But apparently that means you have to just agree with leftist ideology, and, everything a Democrat says you have to be in line with. And obviously, well, she broke that, not agreeing with biological men competing in women's sports. And I think that's totally rational. I really do, because you can get into men. If you go through male puberty, you're going to have, different bone structure. You're going to have much more muscle. You're going to be, physically speaking, you're going to be more dominant than your female counterparts. So I think it's a very rational position. But again, identity politics. You stray just a little bit out of line, they kick you out of the club. So why is this important? Well, for one, I think it's going to potentially be a factor in, the upcoming election. Now, I'm not telling you to go vote for Caitlyn Jenner, and who knows what other positions Caitlyn Jenner has, right? I don't think she's going to be this MAGA, gun-toting, America first, conservative. But again, right, just coming out and saying one thing against the Democratic line, well, all of a sudden you're public enemy number one. So I think this is going to be interesting, and I think it's worth talking about, because depending on what other positions Caitlyn Jenner has, you might see more things like this, more news stories of people coming out saying, no friend of the LGBTQ movement. And it's interesting because there's a gentleman, I think his name is Brandon Straka. I might be botching the name, but he founded the Walk Away movement, or the Walk Away campaign, which is basically, he was a gay guy, and he believed when Trump got elected, it was like the end for gay people, and that Trump was going to round them all up and, basically exterminate them. Obviously, that wasn't true. But he found out that, or he finally broke through, the conditioning, and he saw the media for what it was, and it pins people against each other based on lies. They stretch the truth, they take things out of context, and that's exactly what was his wake-up call. He found out the media lied about, I believe in particular, and I know this has nothing to do with Caitlyn Jenner, but it's important to talk about, with Brandon. His wake-up call was when the media lied about Trump making fun of the disabled reporter. They were trying to say he was mocking his disability. Obviously, it turns out that wasn't true. That's just Trump mocking people for not remembering or getting flustered. So once he said, oh, well, what else will the media lie about? And that's what he looked into, and he went down, that, I guess, rabbit hole, and now he's like, yeah, I'm done with the Democrats. So I think, potentially, we'll see, I could be wrong, if more and more people come out against Caitlyn Jenner, like people who were on her side when she said, hey, I'm transgender, because of, stupid little political stuff. Like, again, hey, biological men shouldn't compete in women's sports. I think you might see more people kind of be like, am I a part of a, am I on the right side? Am I part of a movement here? Or am I a part of a cult where the second I don't agree with one of their talking points, just to the slightest bit, they're going to kick me out and, outlaw me and say all the terrible things, character assassination, you name it. So it's going to be interesting. And, again, I'm not saying go vote for Caitlyn Jenner, but if, she winds up staying in the race and advancing a little bit, making some more, political comments, all I'm saying is just sit back and see what happens. It might be an interesting ride, to say the least, because, again, you can't be doubting 2021 anymore. 2020 gave us a hell of a year, and hey, there's plenty of news stories, craziness going on in the world this year. It's probably going to continue each and every year. So that's all I got for you today. Let me know what you think about the whole recall election. Do you think Gavin Newsom is going to get voted out? Someone else to take his place? Do you think it's going to be Caitlyn Jenner? You can let me know why or why not in the comments. But the big thing is, let me know your thoughts on identity politics. Is that something you really care about? Do you view that as just like a cult kind of movement? It's like the minute you stray away from the party line, everybody, kicks you out of the cool kids club. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. But listen, I appreciate you checking out the video, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.